I can think of one situation in particular where I would come into these meetings with the client and with the agency. They had a Google Ads person who was working on this client account, and they also had an SEO person. But what was apparent to me in these meetings is they didn't talk at all. And I thought that the value for a business going to an agency would have been that centralized, point of contact. Otherwise, why wouldn't you just go to two freelancers yourself? Especially for Google Ads and SEO, right? Where they're both in search.
It boggles my mind that today agencies that are predominantly digital are applying factory level processes, and they're producing people that are siloed in their discipline like they're building Model T Fords. It doesn't make sense to me. Like you said, you have someone doing paid search and doing SEO. But even more to that, you can go into an agency and you'll meet someone who does on-site SEO and technical SEO and someone who does off-site. And you'll speak to the technical guy about off-site. He'll go, I don't do off-site, I don't do link building. And you just kind of go, how is this a thing? I don't know if it's consciously done, but I think by siloing people's skill set, you kind of restrict their growth. And then you end up sort of saying to people, so you progress through your career, you get really good at on-site SEO. You either become the head of the discipline, which then you just become an overhead on everybody else, or at some point you get a promotion and then the client expects you to be able to stitch all these different things together. You move from being sort of like head of SEO to like a group account director or whatever made up titles we come up with. Probably vice president if it's an American owned agency, or senior vice president even, imagine that. And then you're expected to understand this umbrella notion of tying these things together. And to better understand it, visualize graphically your skill set. And so if you're being siloed, I imagine your skill set being vertical. And the amount of money you can charge and what you're paid is about the depth. So if you're doing on-site SEO and you're technically the best, there's a point where you can be so deep in your knowledge, you can charge a lot of money. Now, you might be, $140,000, $150,000 a year if you're really, really good at technical on-site SEO working for a good agency. Awesome. My view is that the modern marketer's shape shouldn't be long and strong. It should be a triangle. And the triangle idea is that, yes, you want depth. So you want your speciality. It might be that you want to focus on offsite SEO. Great. So it's about link building, and that's where you cut your teeth. And you might be deep on that. So that's the middle of your triangle. But you need to be willing to step just outside and say, I'm not as good with my sort of content writing or content production, but I understand the value of the content and the blog writing to inbound links. And then when I understand blog writing, I understand the importance of video, and then video engagement, and then video editing, and then sound production. And then I understand those elements, and I've played a little bit around with sound, and then I'm like, actually, I could probably work with the person who's doing the audio and the radio. And maybe we can come up with a theme that extends the TV advertising and the radio advertising onto a podcast and onto video. And so that skill set that becomes a triangle means that you can lend yourself. And I think if an agency structure is set up that you lock someone into a silo and give them a specialty, you're just doing a disservice to one, the person and their career path, their lack of experience and opportunities. You're doing a disservice to the client because I think they're getting a narrow view and it's disconnected, as you said. Like, why would you be doing that? In addition to that, you then have to put your strategic person on top of it to kind of bridge the gap in between, which is another overhead.
Well, that's what I was doing effectively in this case. Yeah.
And you just go, this can't be the most efficient way of doing it. And I look at it and go, that lack of interconnectivity, that inefficiency in the way things have done, that lack of growth just creates just inefficiencies.